You know what? I switch.
Okay, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I orbit. Sometimes I jump over there, and sometimes.
I kind of like it here. I feel like I'm sort of protected by the corners.
But you have to wind the darts. They've all come flying out of nowhere.
Yeah, okay.
Tier 5 Friday on ice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Killa podcast. That's me. You're in the KK Heights right now, central London, just down the road from where I got mugged. And inside the ride, we have Catherine Marks, Grammy award-winning sound engineer, sound designer.
Didn't win a Grammy. I was nominated for one.
She's a hero in my books. Catherine Marks inside the ride. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah?
Yes.
What's been going on? What's been happening?
I definitely have not given up alcohol for January.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anyone that says dry January to me, that says to me, self-fulfilling prophecy of you're not going to actually stop drinking.
I think alcohol is the only way to get through January.
Yeah. It needs to be the other way around, doesn't it?
Like, you could be dry for the rest of the year, but January, you must drink.
You have
consistently.
Yeah, totally. Like when you start in January, when you start in December, sorry, that almost is like it's the ritual, the beginning. It's the Olympics, torch flame holding ceremony of we're going to drink all month.
Yeah, I didn't plan on doing it. It's just turned out that way. And this isn't neat tequila, by the way. It's just water.
Are you a tequila girl?
Yes.
You are.
Do you have tequila?
No, I don't. I don't. In fact,
I should have just brought some.
Yeah, you should have bought some. You should. I mean, your rock and roll pedigree almost demands that you have a bottle inside. Just
I know.
In a pocket. Do you know what I mean?
I really love tequila.
Have you ever had tequila lemonade?
I don't. I just like neat. I don't like my alcohol mixed with anything. I don't like my spirits mixed with anything. Yeah.
Not even with an ice or a shot of water?
No.
Nothing. How's that served? Because I know I'm led to believe that like if you drink tequila as a starter for your night, it always serves better towards the end of the night. But what's it like drinking it consistently all the way through the evening?
Amazingly, I wake up fine. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's got the least. It's the sugar in the mixes of the drinks that you get the hangover from. But a friend of mine who works at a label in the States, when I'd be working with bands, I would never drink because I'd want someone had to get up the next day.
Yeah.
So I would sort of never participate in the fun. And this guy was like, you should try drinking tequila. Like it's pretty clean and don't mix it with anything. And you won't wake up with a hangover. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, he bought me this really nice bottle of top shelf, expensive tequila. And
changed your life.
It's changed my life. It has literally changed my life. I was just in France and we had one night playing poker and I got the guys to buy me 2 bottles of tequila. They looked pretty bad. They had like sort of death skulls on them and stuff. But
of course.
But it was like sort of Spanish tequila or whatever. Not that bad. And over the course of the week, myself and my friend drank the 2 bottles, and they all drank beer and wine and was shit faced the next day.
Just having such a bad time with it.
Yeah, and I walked into the studio going, right, I'm fine.
Ready to roll again.
Yeah.
Quality.
That's really bad though for your liver. If the rest of your body's like, I'm totally fine. Like something is deteriorating inside of me though.
Yeah, something's eating.
Yeah.
That you'll never know about.
No.
When I was in Poland, I had like a long stint of shows, and for every time you'd go and do a gig, there'd always be a guy at the end of the backstage going, "Hey, you must drink." Let's drink vodka. So that's a really bad example of a Polish accent, but it really became like such the norm that before you go on stage and after, you're drinking a shot of vodka. The purity over there is just second to none.
Yeah.
It's like by the time it got to like the 3rd or 4th night where your skin's starting to peel because you've had so much alcohol and like you're down this, it's like it becomes milk. It's like drinking milk.
Yeah, if it's too easy, it's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it just goes. What's that like in the studio when you're in an environment where you because obviously you're at the helm of the desk, you're in a place of responsibility, so to speak. Which
I would never really drink in the studio.
You wouldn't do it?
No, because it's still work. I mean, it's fun, but it's still work.
Mm.
And yeah, I want to be paying attention, and also when I'm drinking, that's sort of like relaxed. That's party time.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, as fun as it is in the studio, someone has to be.
The disciplined one.
Yes, I think so.
And what other things are going on? Like, because you've worked with so many bands, like,
Yeah.
there's a culture that is bred into that genre. Like, do you see a lot of like, well, they're cracking on? Don't you ever like sit for a minute and go, you know what, I could quite easily crack on as well if I really thought about it.
No, because I'm probably usually thinking about so many things, and my brain is kind of whirring at a million miles an hour that I'm not really worrying about what if someone's sort of drinking in the background. It's probably sort of not in my,
Yeah.
I'm not paying attention to it. I'm thinking about, that snare sound isn't working, or okay, we need another guitar part, or where's the guitarist? Okay, great. Okay, let's do that. What pedals do I want to use? What sound do we want? There's all these things that I'll probably be thinking of, and if the moment I have a drink, I won't.
It just still swings and
I won't be thinking about.
There's a level of zen, isn't there?
It's a responsibility,
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right. Someone's got to take responsibility. These damn rock bands. There's a level of zen, isn't there? With well, I'm led to believe. Not for 1 minute am I ever suggesting I have any level of zen, but when it comes to mixing, you're in the moment.
Yes.
And you're concentrating solely on the spectrum.
Yes.
What's going through your head in that period where it could go 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, and you just not know?
I guess when I'm starting a mix, I really honestly, I think I let the song take me where it wants to go. Or at least there's like, if I'm listening to like a rough mix or something, there'll be an initial feeling of, okay, this is what I feel kind of mechanically I need to do. And then this is what I need to do to enhance a particular feeling. And usually the rough mix has will have captured the feeling or the energy or whatever it is, or the sentiment of the song. And then it's never just, okay, it needs more kind of a certain frequency, or I need to do, it's more like massaging it into something that it always wanted to be. And so I have like this vision in my head and where I want things to kind of sit 3-dimensionally as well. And it's just sort of like little by little kind of getting it into shape. But I always take little breaks so that I can then kind of come back and look at the bigger picture again. Yeah.
Is that a fag break?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Because my friend...
It takes the exact same
time. Yeah.
It takes to smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, totally. It's just to reset your head, isn't it?
But also like I walk outside and I'll go, okay, right, I know exactly what to do. Like something might not be fitting quite right, or the vocals aren't sitting right, or I want to get sort of more grit out of the guitars but without making them harsh, or I mean it could just be so many things, but or how do I think the band are going to take it that I'm turning up the tambourine like 12 dBs and panning it hard left? Like what? Like, am I going to be able to make these sort of like brave, bold decisions?
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting you say that. Because with bands, when you're... bands are often, obviously, the idea makers. Then you become the vehicle that takes that song or that album to that level. And then all of a sudden, the baton gets passed back to them and they become the vehicles. In that interim where you're controlling the boards, something like, I don't know, you chuck some junk on the amp, or you just you move it a little bit, or you throw some plug-in in there that might just throw the guitarist off, and all of a sudden we have a situation. You know what I mean?
It's very rare that happens, because I'm also whenever I work on mixing or production, I'm always in constant communication with the artists themselves, because I mean, you want to know what they want to get out of it. So often, like I'll, before I've even started a mix, I'll kind of discuss what I'm feeling about it and what I'm the sort of things that I'm thinking about doing. How do you guys feel about that? And then also what I'll do is I'll do like a 3 or 4 hour quick kind of broad brushstrokes mix, especially if it's an artist that I've just started working with.
Right.
Which is like, this is sort of where I'm thinking about it heading. Have I taken it too far, or is it not far enough? And that's usually when I'll make kind of the bold statements. And that's a good way to kind of gauge what, how they're feeling about that. What is annoying though is when they go, oh my God, we love it. And I'm like, but I haven't done all the things that I wanted to do or thought that I should do to it.
Yeah. This is just an idea and you've just run with it.
Yeah. But then I'll kind of spend another day and a half like tweaking the shit out of it.
Tiny details.
That no one else is going to notice. But that could also change it massively for the better or the worse. And I don't know until the end. And then I like A/B against that first mix, and I'm like, fuck, it's got something, and and it's lost now. But is the detail? Is it better that I focus on the it's all those kind of constant
serving the track or serving the egos of the band.
Yes,
essentially.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Not always egos, but you're managing. You're managing the room.
Yeah. Often I'm alone though when I'm mixing, and I'm just sending mixes off.
Right.
Yeah.
So none of the band are there?
No.
How often is it that the band are there?
For me, quite rarely, because often I'm doing stuff for artists in the States, or they'll be on tour, or whatever. So, yeah, I'm in my little cupboard by myself.
So do you get the files given to? I mean, this is all totally cool as well. Like you get given the files and then you process them and make them work to your ear.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And if I'm mixing my own productions, I've recorded them the way I want them to sound. So basically, it's kind of already in the shape that we want it, and it's the mixing process is just like getting an extra 10 or 20% out of it. Yeah. And that's sometimes why I wish other mixers would mix my productions, because sometimes you can take something really far.
In an aggressive mix that might be just all about the energy?
Well, maybe more they will see something in it that perhaps I didn't because I was so in it. Yeah. And you bring it to life in another way that might be more beneficial. Don't know. Hasn't happened yet.
I'm a big fan of Pensado's place. I think I might have spoken. We've done a couple of gym sessions.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
we've chatted about this. The levels of detail, and I think a lot of it is down to experience. Yeah. As you age as a mix engineer, this is one thing that I'm getting an understanding of.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have this information, and it becomes like a little kind of tray in your head, and you just pull it out when you forget you even had it.
Yeah.
And you start, you apply it to different things. If you had like a 12-piece band.
Yep.
How does that compare to a 3-piece band in terms of how you need to work it? Are
you talking about recording it?
Yeah.
It's all the same, really. Only when there's 12 people in a band, you've probably got all the instrumentation you need. Whereas if there's 3, there'll probably be a few overdubs. So I feel like 12 would be a lot quicker. Because you get, maybe with 12 people, you're getting them in a room playing together and performing together. And it's just getting a great performance. It's the same with like a 3-piece band.
Performance is everything.
For me, that's what I'm always looking for. I really like to track a band together live to kind of lay the foundations of what it is about them.
Yeah.
And often it's looking for that sort of thing that isn't, them playing it perfectly, but is just something that's kind of special. Like, even if it's a mistake, but everyone makes the mistake at the same time. But it's
a Creep. Radiohead.
Right.
With Creep, they had that and the guitar moment. That's all a mistake.
Exactly. Like all that stuff, I love that. Or, suddenly the guitarist starts strumming the guitar in a different way. Like he's just doing downstrokes instead of up and down. And suddenly it feels different. Sometimes there's unconscious things that happen when they've been playing it for over and over again. I think But then if it was a 3-piece, I would be like, okay, I'd like to kind of double the guitars or beef up the guitars or try and like enhance their particular sound with something else. But sometimes not. With a 12-piece, it's all done. One take.
Exactly, the whole spectrum is
Yeah.
covered nicely, and you.
Depends what's in this magic 12-piece band.
Well, yeah, it's a good question actually, because when I think about a 3-piece, like what you're initially dealing with is like the minimum sound. So how do you make those things bigger? It's like a good nursery rhyme. It's like, well, you've got the content there. It's just like just positioning and just making things as big as possible, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and it could be the parts. You know what kind of music it is as well. Like if it's something that's really minimal and sparse and beautiful, then you don't. It wouldn't necessarily be about getting the biggest sounds. But if it's something that's really heavy, yeah, you can. Miking up the drums in a particular way, or getting the bass sound to the way it works with the guitar. But then they've also usually figured that stuff out.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I was always impressed with like Slaves more recently, I think, and the minimal use of, because you know that when they're going to play it live, I know there's a lot of in the box workings of making things sound massive, but by and large you put them on stage and the energy's still there. It's trying to create that energy within those minimal bands, isn't it? On the record, it must be quite a challenge.
That is the challenge. But that's also the exciting part about how do you manufacture, for lack of a better word, the feeling of live energy to something that is essentially static.
Dude, it's been my story of my life with beatboxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Putting that thing on a record, it's like I feel like I achieve it every time. But then when I go back 5 years later and I don't know, I still ain't got it yet.
Really?
Yeah, totally.
God, it's usually after 5 years that I start to like things that I've done.
Do you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm sort of less critical.
Or detached from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you critical with your work a lot?
Yeah. I mean, I know it's good in my head when I can't stop listening to the monitor mix. So the monitor mix is just like
it's the basic sound.
Yeah, like it's just been recorded.
Yeah.
I've done a rough balance, when I'm sort of addicted to whatever the energy is that and because it hasn't been fully realized in terms of the sonics or the mix, the potential, I can hear the potential there. It's almost like a demo, but a demo of what it is.
That must be so exciting when you hear something. You're like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah,
I can do this.
But also, if I get excited, if I'm excited and I can't stop listening to something that I've just done because I know that I've nailed something in the studio. I'm not sure what it is, even if it's just fucking weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I am. I mean, maybe not so much anymore. I'm sort of a lot more confident, but definitely when I was first starting production, I mean, it's like trying to solve a really complex maths problem, but never having learnt maths, but you have like the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also might have done some really advanced maths, but nothing in between kind of thing.
But maybe that's part of the, because, when people are, I know it's not to everyone, it changes case by case, but when people are overeducated on certain things, you kind of lose the rock and roll of that.
I totally agree. I mean, I think it helps. I think it would have helped me a lot more. I mean, obviously, I know things now just from kind of years of experience. But when I first started, I definitely didn't. It was a lot of stuff was trial by error, and just watching other people work. But it kind of allows you to break the rules without knowing that you're breaking the rules. I think, and when you know, if someone knows, like I remember. Okay, so here's a perfect example. I was working with Kanye West one night. I literally only worked with him for one day. But I was so nervous. I'd heard kind of loads of things about him. And so I'd set up 12 microphones and 12 different chains, which was probably totally excessive.
But you just never know.
You never know. They could all break down except for one. Anyway, we ultimately picked one. And I had it going through I think like a Neve 1073 and a 1176 compressor, just something very basic.
Yeah.
I'd sort of like twiddled some knobs. You know, I had very like short amount of time to kind of get it right, you know, because he was basically, you know, he was doing his thing.
No pressure.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, all right, that's great. And then the assistant like taps me on the shoulder. And I'm like shitting myself anyway because he's also, while we're recording, he's comping himself. So he'll do a verse and then he'll
my
go,
God. Yeah.
okay, so I want that line from that, you know. And so I'm sort of doing it as I go, anticipating that when he's going to come in the room, he's going to want to hear it done.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about like 20 million things. And the assistant goes, I think you're compressing the vocal too much. And I'm like, oh. Everyone has just said how amazing it sounds. Like, this is not, you know, now I'm going to start worrying that I've like used the compressor in the wrong way. Like, not, I don't know, just because he was sort of watching the meter. When I think, sure, of course, but you know, you should be using your ears more. But yeah, I worried about that when I got home that night or in the next morning.
I bet you
did I compress it too much? In the end, we put vocoder all over his vocals, so it didn't, you know, it wouldn't have mattered. Like the processing, I don't know. Just there's always ways. Like
There's always one, isn't there? There's always a person that thinks that he's getting involved in a mix, isn't it?
yeah, I mean,
That's another conversation entirely.
No, let's not bitch.
Yeah, no, that's another conversation.
There was also, I think, when I was doing Foals record, I was trying to just get a bit more brightness out of the snare or something, and I think we were using like a Trident mic pre and EQ, and I just was like, it's sort of not, I'm not getting it, so I just like boosted 12 dB of like 3K. I was like, fuck, that seems a bit extreme, but oh well, it sounds good. And one of the guys who I was working with, I was like, you know, is that okay? And he's like, fuck it, it sounds, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, and it's kind of fun, like twiddling knobs and just like making something work. I love sounds that are exciting and that are interesting, not like, especially drum sounds, like not a drum sound that sounds like a drum sound kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But from the raw organic of the instrument itself, that's in there.
Like it's in terms of what mics you use and what mic pre's.
What's your favourite room?
Definitely the one up at Assault and Battery.
Yeah.
Have you been up there?
No. Assault and Battery, for those that don't know, whereabouts?
It's in Willesden. Sunny Willesden.
Yeah. Do you work in the box?
Yes, I work in the box when I'm mixing, but yeah.
What do you use?
You mean what's my crappy little setup?
Yeah, I want to know setups. Ableton, Logic,
Pro Tools.
Pro Tools.
I'm still running Pro Tools 9, but just because I like the way it sounds, and also I hate change. I've got a Thermonic Culture Fat Busted Summing Mixer, which is amazing. I have 2 EQs over the mix bus and a Obsidian compressor. One of the EQs is an old VAC rack, Inward Connections VAC rack, and it sort of looks like something out of a submarine, and it's just got these like really nice knobs and it's notched. I really enjoy it. And then I've got like a massive passive EQ, which is kind of a little bit more about the detail.
So there is some outboard as well.
Yeah, of course. And then a lot of like the effects processing I do out of the box. That's because it's fun.
Yeah.
Like running vocals through sort of reverb pedals and delay pedals or like the Roland chorus echo and space echo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'd also do, you know, processing in the box too. It'll just be what the project
What
kind
serves
of...
it.
Yes.
What serves it right.
And also, I'm so quick on Pro Tools as well that sometimes, and I guess, because I started mixing in the box more out of like budget constraints rather than, you know, because to hire a studio is really expensive. So I started mixing on my laptop and then I guess I'm just, you know, I've sort of managed to make it sound good while also being efficient. But then I've also done mixes in big studios and, you know, they're just like, they're some of the best mixes that I've done.
Yeah, of course.
But that's with the budgets.
Because within those budgets, like, you're saying some of the stuff will be in the box. And it has to be. Like, is your go? Are there some like EQs, plugins, things that you go to that suddenly they become your sound? Are there
No.
things that are signature Catherine?
I use a Maserati plugin, which is a guitar compressor amp thing on vocals. That's probably the only thing that I do that no one else does.
Right.
And it's it just thickens up the vocals. Depends what kind of vocal it is, but and it also makes, I don't know what it does, but there's like a presence sort of knob on it, which the more to the right it is, the darker the tone.
Nice.
And so often it kind of just, rather than it pushes the vocal out.
Yeah.
But rather than it sitting on top of the mix, it sits in the mix, if that makes sense, but is still like out. And, if this is like
Yeah.
the instrumentation and
It's
they
a
just
depth. It's a depth.
Yeah.
It's a light and dark.
Yeah.
It's a depth.
That's probably...
It's a giveaway, isn't it, of like maybe one of your signature traits, but in a really positive way. You letting it out like that.
Yeah.
Just goes to show that it's like this is the rock and roll and what you apply to a sound. Yeah. That's your way of doing it.
The reason I discovered it was because I was looking for a chorus effect in a plugin. I think this was years ago, and it has a chorus effect on it. But I didn't realise it was a guitar. It was for guitars till like years later. Because I just didn't even bother to look at what the thing was called. I like it, like it's brown and it's got like a few knobs on it. I kind of was like, this
it's got to work.
It's got to work. This feels right to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's always something. I mean, it's so embarrassing. But there's always something little by little that I'll discover each week. Like, I'll have my go-to settings on a compressor as well. And like recently this week, I've been like, why don't you fuck it up a little bit?
Yeah.
Change the settings.
Hey, me, I'm going to fuck you up, man.
And so like I'm going, oh, okay, like the attack and release, I'm just going to have totally opposite and see what happens. And then sort of mixing into that. But that's more for kind of personal entertainment than...
It's playful as fuck. Like, that's the way it should be, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, arguably, it's like entertain yourself in the most maybe of mundane moments, but at the same time, it's like... But at the same
Simple
time,
pleasures.
yeah, it is. I always say, like, with restriction comes creativity.
Always. The project that I just did in France, the manager rang me up while I was in Australia after just having made change my flight to come back early to do it. And he was like, so the drummer's broken his hand. The engineer that you were going to use has gone into hospital with a brain aneurysm and our guitarist has left the band. And I was like, so do you want to cancel? He's like, fuck no.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Sign me up.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, the only thing we can do... Oh, and he goes, and no one's rehearsed any of the songs. I was like, great, okay, I'll see you in 2 days.
Yeah.
I said the only way to get through this is to drink heavily and try and record 4 songs, which we did manage to do, and they all sound ace. And I'm really happy.
That's fucking amazing. I mean, when you talk about, your back's against the wall, I mean,
But we did sort of... in the studio, we got the studio for free, and the studio is amazing, but it's very basic in terms of what's there. There's not a lot of toys. I love toys. Obviously because the guitarist had left the band, we didn't have much by the way of like pedals and amps. We had 1 amp, I think. You just make it work, even if it's not right for the song. It has to be right for the song because that's all we've got.
Yeah.
So this is what the song is now, and there's something cool like about just sort of not worrying about that, I sort of enjoy. But then everyone has to be on board with that as well. Like I can't be the only one who's like, okay, right, we're just going to have fun with it and do whatever. What the hell?
Yeah, they've got to be invested as well.
Yes, everyone has to be like, we just want to do the best thing we possibly can with what we've got.
You hear those stories, like Never Mind the Bollocks album, for instance, like it's a classic one. It's like, they lose their bass player and then they just pitch down the guitars and they just recreate the songs that are a living like testimony of like how good it can be when you do restrict and you do have your face adversities, isn't it?
Yeah.
That just sounds really extreme, that one. I mean, I can't imagine like to lose a guitar player, I mean, how did it turn out? Did it turn out great in the end?
Yeah,
Kicked ass.
Yeah, I actually I listen to it when I'm in the shower, and I'm really like makes me really happy what we
Yeah.
did, and all. But the only downside was not having an engineer meant that I had to do kind of everything, and when a band isn't prepared, there's a lot of attention is required on like kind of getting the songs into shape. So I was sort of having to do like a lot of things, but it was also really fun. I mean, that's what I always used to do. So that was really fun. And hopefully look, I'm really happy. Hopefully they're really happy too. I don't know.
Do you play instrument?
I play piano, keyboards.
So
But not very well.
Okay, but probably better than me. Probably better than the handful of people that probably play the piano. To be fair, like, do you ever in those situations go, just give me the fucking piano? I'll let me just do this.
No, it's never like that. If anything, it'll be, here is my idea. Now you do something infinitely better.
Right.
And if I need to communicate it on the piano, I'll do that. You just use like
Piano is it's a great medium. Like, it's one of the few like when you rock out, nothing compares to just being able to like rip some chords on a piano just to get an idea across, is it? I mean,
and that's it is like sometimes I need to figure out the chords in maybe there's like one chord that I hear that isn't happening, or someone's playing an inversion of chords and I want to hear a different inversion so that a certain note rings out, or we're trying to figure out harmonies. It's just a great way. The fact that I understand music in the way, it helps, I guess, to be able to communicate ideas.
Yeah.
But it's never, I'd never go in and go, oh, I once did it. But usually every time I do that, it's maybe because like the band are kind of fucking off somewhere and I'm like, okay, well, all right, well, I'll do some work then. And I wrote this sort of like what I thought was an amazing string arrangement on like kind of a Bowie string keyboard, which is like called Selena.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds stunning. And I'd sort of like played it in the way that I thought that I wanted to hear it. And then the bloody singer comes in and he sort of plays it a little bit of crap. And I'm like, God damn it. It's just so much cooler the way you do it.
Yeah.
I'd like, because it's sort of touch sensitive. So I'd like played it sort of really soft so that it swelled up. And I'd spent like, a good 2 hours on it while they were outside skateboarding. And then he just comes in and shits all over my performance because it suits this, but I want that. I would rather that happen.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Like how when you're serving a song, the ego you just gotta get away from it.
Yeah,
and that's a real hard discipline for some people. Like some producers especially, and mix engineers, they pride themselves on their integrity and their ego of like what their sound provides for the project. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like there's some like not that.
But maybe that's right for some producers. I just don't think of myself as that kind of producer. Only that I don't think that I have.
No, you serve the song. That's what you do.
Yeah. Yes. Apparently, I have a particular sound, but I don't know. I wouldn't be able to articulate to you what that is. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be always little bits of me on the records that I make.
No, there is, and it's always the way, isn't it? But again, like some of my favourite producers and mix engineers that I work with, the ego's at the door. Like the best people are the ones that are serving the track to help serve you in serving it to a better place that then helps everybody.
Yeah.
And if we're all on the same page, then you can't go wrong.
That's in an ideal world, but sometimes that never happens. That doesn't happen. And there's always going to be an ego in the room that kind of supersedes all the other egos. And but you have to look after everyone.
Yeah, you do, don't you? And that's what's part of the process that you are in charge of.
But that's what's so interesting. I mean, more often than not, the dynamics between bands are quite similar.
Can you tell? Actually, that's a good question. Actually, can you tell which one's the bass player the moment they walk in?
No, I can't do that. But after a while of hanging out with them, and if they hadn't told me and this was a test, I could have a red hot go.
Really? Yeah.
But no, it's more how I think bands interact with each other, especially like if there's 4 of them. It's all the same, but to varying degrees. But sometimes you come across something that you don't expect, and then that's as challenging as that might be. That is interesting in itself. So every project is just as exciting, even if it's the same music or the it's because it's about the people as well. Like, I mean, fundamentally for me, that's what I'm interested in, that chemistry that can be created musically and personally.
So there's a connectivity between the band and their energy and the music that they play.
Yeah.
That can be quite few and far between, can't it? Or do you think that really resonates?
I feel
That
like
bridges-
I'm lucky that I'm picking projects where that occurs all the time.
Foals, the Foals, for instance.
Yeah, Folds, yeah.
Like, does their energy reflect them as a band to their music?
Yeah, 100%.
Wolf Alice?
Yes, I mean,
If we're talking about caliber here, these are big bands.
yeah.
Is it obvious? Is it patently obvious when you're sitting there and you see them as people and that as their music?
Yeah, there's superstars, not just in who they are, but like in the way that they think and their ideas and their what. I mean, again, for lack of a better word, but I feel like what they do is brave because they're doing what they want to do. They're not second guessing, and they have such confidence in what they do. And it sort of has integrity. It's like, I always use, Stranger Things as an example of just one really bloody awesome idea,
yeah.
just seen through, like
Confidently,
yes,
they knew it and they owned it.
Whether it was like the right thing to do, or, it's a derivative. It's stylistically derivative.
That's so attractive, isn't it?
But
it's so cool.
But it's so cool. Like especially like the actors, everything.
Yeah.
Now, if one other person had gone, but it's a little bit stylistically derivative, maybe we should have modern contemporary music or something, that one little thing would not have made...
Changed the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for a band or an artist to be, I mean, not in a stubborn or contrary way, but to be so clear about what their idea is and to have the balls to see it through, no matter, management, bands, record label. That's what I want to be there for, and I will support that. And obviously, no one's idea is right all the time. I have loads of shit ideas, but it's important to have like someone to bounce ideas off. And if there is a clear idea at the start, I can help to kind of realise that clear idea.
Yeah.
So that's what I believe.
Killing it. Well,
Are we allowed a cigarette break?
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Right, cut.